Countdown. All right. What's up, everybody? It's Markia, aka the Money Plug, aka your credit specialist, favorite credit specialist. And right, this is day 3 of me going live all this week. So today we're gonna be talking about home buying. I'm hoping that we have a special guest today. If not, that's still cool. But I really want to talk to you guys about home buying and shout out to everybody who came to the free student loan forgiveness webinar yesterday. Even though it was surrounding the public service loan forgiveness, that was kind of why we pushed it out. She answered a lot of questions just about student loan forgiveness in general. Shout out to Megan. When I get the replay from the company, I'm hoping to put it up on YouTube, so I will let you guys know when that is. But let me see. There we go. So I do want to talk to you guys about home buying. Remember, everybody's situation is different, as well as where you live can also affect some of the advice you should be taking. For example, whenever anybody asks me what the minimum credit score should be, I always kind of try to evade that question because it really depends on where you live as far as how competitive the market is. What's the cost of living out there? Like, because I swear watching HGTV, they'd be like, oh, yeah, I live in California. My budget is $1 million and they live in a shoebox. So it's kind of weird. So, just take all of this information with a grain of salt, but make sure you're also doing your own due diligence, you guys. Everything doesn't apply to everybody, and I need us to start practicing discernment with any information that we're getting online. Cool beans? Cool beans. Now, Instagram, I know you guys can't see my really cool setup that I have on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. However, if you guys want to follow me on all of my other platforms, my TikTok name is themoneyplug.co, which is also my website, or you can click the link in my bio on Instagram to join my email list and get all the goods that's going to be coming this year. To everybody else, if you guys want to follow me on all of my other platforms, again, any replays will definitely be saved on YouTube as well as on Facebook. But if you want to follow me on all of my other platforms, here they are. My YouTube channel is definitely the one you want to save because, like I said, the replay from yesterday's student loan forgiveness webinar, I'm going to put it on YouTube as soon as they send it to me. Like, I'm not even about to edit it. I'm literally just going to throw it up for you guys because that information is time sensitive because we do talk a lot about the public service loan forgiveness and who qualifies for it. I know a lot of people was confused because they thought you had to be military or police officer to qualify for it. But teachers, like, if you're a public servant at all, right, then you qualify for this student loan forgiveness, and don't walk away from this. It's because potentially save you a lot of money. But so you want to buy a home, right? So I get that this is probably like the number one thing people talk to me about when we're doing like credit audits or when they want to hire me for services is that they want to buy a home and they're not sure what to do. Number one, make sure that this is a good decision for you and your family. And I got into this discussion really heavy on Instagram actually about how this isn't for everyone. Home buying is not something to go into lightly. It is not something to do just because it's popular or it's trendy. This is a huge financial decision that you are making that literally has the potential to, affect the rest of your life. So it's really important that you guys are making this decision based off of what's good for you and your family and not what the optics are. Again, and I will stand 10 toes on this. A home, like buying a home, is not a status symbol. It doesn't mean you got your shit together because you can still own a home and not have your shit together financially and regularly, just so I'm clear. But I just need you guys to make sure that this is a financial decision that you are not going into blindly. So do the research. This means going to these home buyer workshops, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, going to these workshops, talking to people who already own a home, especially people who have bought homes recently. I really think the process of buying a home and then what happens after you buy a home is something that's not as often talked about as is the process before you buy a home. So that's also really important for you to kind of get that firsthand knowledge from people around you who have gone through this process or are going through this process, especially because y'all tend to listen to all of your friends before you listen to professionals anyway. So why don't you talk to somebody who actually went through this process? Now, the very first thing I'm going to tell you if you are about to start the home buying process, and when I say that, that's not you going into the realtor office and being like, I found the house I wanted, right? Starting the home buying process is the day that you make the decision, like, I'm ready to own a home. There are some things that kind of need to happen before you even get to the realtor's office. And one of those things is you guys need a budget plan. You need to start doing the math. You need to see how much money you're bringing in and how much money you have coming out, because one of the kind of criteria when you get deep into this home buying process is going to be DTI, or debt to income ratio. And we're going to talk about that a little later. But if you identify how much money you have coming in and how much you have going out and make the adjustments before you start the actual, I'm going into the office, I'm talking to a realtor, I pick a house, we go to a lender sort of thing, right? Then you're kind of knocking out a lot of the work that's going to have to be done later, because you are already prepared for this. Like, you're set. If you are in need of a free budget plan, I've partnered with a company known as Physical, and we are offering free budget and action plans. These are customized plans based on the information that you are entering as it asks you questions. All you have to do is go to www.physical.com/themoneyplug. They'll ask you questions. It takes like 10 minutes, and then it will email you an action plan. And then if you need 15 minutes to talk to me about your budget plan, not about credit, if you need 15 minutes to talk to me about your budget plan, you also have the option to schedule an appointment then. I'm letting y'all know now, if we get on this call and you start asking me about credit, I'm gonna hang up, because that's not what these appointments are for. However, if you are in need of a budget and you're not sure how to create one, you're not even sure what needs to be on it, and you just really want guidance, that is a really good place to start. And it's completely free. Who doesn't like free? Now, once you have your budget and you identify your income and your expenses, the next thing you need to be doing is pulling your credit report. And the reason why I focus on saying pulling your credit report and not looking at your credit scores, because I tell you guys all the time, a lot of you are hyper focusing on your credit scores, not realizing that the information that you have reporting to the credit bureaus is what sets that, that is what determines whether or not you have a good credit score. Why do I not see anything over here? Hold on. I don't know why I don't see the comments. One second. But the reason why I focus all the time on telling you guys, like, hey, focus more on the report and less on the scores, because if you fix the report, then the score will go up automatically. And what I mean by that is things like you'll be so focused on your score, and a lot of you, and I actually posted a video about this earlier, a lot of you will go and hire a credit repair specialist, and that's not what you need. Just because you think you have a low credit score, you instantly think you have bad credit, and that's not the case. If you actually pull your credit report, you'll see that you just don't have enough credit. You don't have enough accounts for them to accurately depict whether or not you're a risk to them if they loan you money or give you things in exchange for you paying them later. That is why your score is low. So that is why I always say start off with pulling your credit reports. I don't know if you all have heard, I have also posted this on TikTok, but Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion have extended the free credit reports every week kind of deal until the end of 2023. So if you go to www.annualcreditreports.com, I'll see if I can put it up on the screen for you guys, not you guys, sorry. www.annualcreditreport.com. Report, I think it's report, not without the S. About to find out. This credit report without the S. Let me make sure before I put it in there. Yeah, it is without the S. Okay. So it's annualcreditreport.com. It's up on the screen for you guys. And you can go there every week from now until December 2023 and get free copies of all 3 of your credit reports. Normally, they would only give you 1 a year, but, let's see. I don't know why I can't see any of the comments on TikTok, or if there are. Usually it shows me when people come in and out too. So I'm not sure what's going on with TikTok over here, guys. Maybe if I log out. No, because then that's going to stop the live. Dang. Sorry, TikTok. I'll keep trying with TikTok. If you guys got questions, I'll keep trying to load it. I have no idea what's going on over there though. Anyway. So let's say you pull your credit reports and you are looking at them and you're like, okay, what am I looking at? The first thing you want to take a look at is your personal information section. This section needs to be as clean as possible. This needs to have your current living address, right? Or mailing address, whatever, if it's different from where you're staying. And then like a previous address. You do not need 100,000 addresses on your credit report. And the reason why is most people think that your social security number is used to tie information to your credit report, but that's not always the case. Credit bureaus actually prioritize different parts of your personal information over the others, and it really just depends on what bureau you're looking at. But for the most part, it usually goes like first initial, last name, address. That's kind of what they look at to place something on your credit report. So if you have a very common name like John Smith or Brittany Smith or something like that, if you have a really common name, then what could potentially happen is something known as credit merging, which is where they take somebody else's information and it somehow pops up on your credit profile and it's affecting your credit worthiness. Maybe your score goes down. Like there's a lot that could be happening. So to prevent that from happening, this is why you keep your personal information section as updated as possible. The thing is that these addresses that are reported by accounts that you used to have. So it's also really important that you go to all your currently reporting accounts. So any creditors where you have open debts with them, and you update your personal information with them first before going to the credit bureaus and attempting to clean up this information. And the reason why is because if a company is continuously reporting this information every month, the credit bureaus are not going to remove it. They need a reason to let it go. And the only reason they'll stop reporting or will remove addresses is if these accounts are not reporting them. So all of your open, actively reporting debts, you need to make sure that you're updating your personal information with them first before you go to the credit bureaus. Now, if you are somebody who has, you've identified that you got like 20 different addresses on your, I really don't know why this is not, there we go. Nope, still not working. Sorry, I still can't see this chat. That's so frustrating. I'm going to see if I can pull it up on my laptop. I'm going to see if I can pull it up on my laptop. Because somebody just texted me and said, I need to ask you a question. Sorry, and I feel so bad. Now, if you are somebody who has identified that you have personal information that you need to clean up, I'm also going to tell you how you would clean this up. This is super easy. All you have to do now, first of all, any correspondence that you are sending to the credit bureaus, to the creditors, to anybody, need to include their personally identifiable information, right? Like PI. And these things are always two forms of identification, and then something, your mailing address needs to match on the letter and in the letter. Does that make sense? So people usually do a copy of their passport and then maybe like a utility bill, or they'll do their driver's license and a bank statement, or their driver's license and a W-2, but you need something that confirms where you live and something that confirms your identity. And it needs to match what you put in the letter. So obviously, if you've never written a letter before, right? Up at the top left, you'll put your mailing address. Under it, you'll put whoever you're sending it to. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion's addresses are all public knowledge. You can literally just Google it and it'll pop up for you. And then once you go ahead and put that, you'll just write like to whom it may concern, right? So you'll say, I recently pulled a copy of my credit report, and I'm noticing that there are personal information reporting about me that just isn't accurate. The following information is the only accurate information that needs to be reported on my credit report. And then you will list the items that you want reported. Now, for the accounts that you want removed, this is what you do. Now, I typically tell clients that if you've already updated your personal information with all of your open, actively reporting accounts, then you can honestly stop right there. You don't have to go this far. But if you have like derogatory accounts where obviously you're not going to call a debt collector and give them your new address, right? So if you have derogatory accounts that could potentially report old addresses, so obviously you can't get them to stop reporting, then what you could do is you could identify addresses that are reporting inaccurate, like they're not your current or your last previous address. And what you could do is you can identify them as somebody else's. So you can say, hey, let's say, obviously you don't live there anymore. So you would say, this is a cousin's address or something like that. Like whoever lives there now, this is their address. It's not my address. For a lot of people, their familial home is on their credit report, like 20 years later. That was my mama's house. That was my daddy's house. That was my grandma's house. That's not my house. And so if you can identify whose house it is to prove that it's not yours, that will also help you with your personal information update. Now, again, you could run into some issues with these derogatory accounts because if they are consistently reporting every month and reporting that old address, then you're going to have some contention right there because they're like, listen, we only report what they tell us. So if they don't remove it, you can't get mad at the credit bureaus. You got to get mad at their creditor. Now, here's the thing. So you've updated your personal information. What am I looking at? We're looking for now on my credit report. The next section I want you to take a look at is your inquiries. Now, I know a lot of people talk about how when you guys go shopping around for inquiries and stuff, right? Oh, I'm sorry. What does this say? Did this also go for old employers that's on your report? No. I mean, nobody cares who your old employers was. Now, what I will say about employment history is this, though. You need to have at least 2 years of solid employment history when you start this home buying process. That is what I will say about that. I was going to wait till later to mention that, but you need and if you don't have 2 solid years of employment history, you better have a damn good reason, or a damn good lender, because a lot of times they're going to give you a hard time about that, because it's not that it makes you look untrustworthy, but it makes you look kind of shaky because you haven't even been here long. So how do I know that you're going to stay here long? How do I know that you're going to pay your mortgage using this job? How I know you won't get this house, then quit your job and then be squatting in my stuff, right? Like that's what the banks are looking at you like. So no, you don't have to clean up old employers if you don't want to. It's not really a big deal. But you do, however, need to make sure that you have at least 2 years of solid employment history. Now for the inquiries, I know that you guys love shopping around. I've seen so many posts in the last couple of weeks talking about how if you want a car, shop around, apply to all these different places because within 30 days, it only hits your credit once. That is not true. That's absolutely positively not true. What actually happens when you go shopping around for all of these loans and stuff like that? Maybe that. When you go shopping around for all these loans and stuff is that it only affects your credit score one time, right? If it's all within the same industry. However, it will be listed on your credit report as an individual inquiry. And no matter what your score is, if you have too many inquiries in a 12-month time period, you will be denied for things. For example, Chase has a 524 rule. So if you've opened up more than 5 credit cards in the last 24 months, then you will be denied. So some companies have these policies that will unfortunately disqualify you from being a client, customer, whatever you want to call it, because of your history with your inquiries or what accounts you're opening and things like that. So you just want to be cognizant of that when you guys are out shopping around and things like that. Now, I don't have an opinion on whether you guys should go credit union or big bank. That's not my place. However, what I will say is go where you are comfortable. Can I say that? How do I do this? I don't know what's going on. My passport has my old address for the house I sold. Is that going to be a problem when I try to get my old addresses removed? I mean, if you're using that for your personal identification thing, if you how I said you got to include 2 copies of your identifiable information. If you're using your passport, you just need to make sure a W-2 or a bank statement or something is included with that with the proper address on it. But I mean, your passport doesn't report to your credit. So the passport is not reporting that address if that's what you're saying. But if you're using your passport as a part of one of your identification verification documents, then that could potentially pose an issue if you're trying to remove that particular address. Let's see. I really don't understand why I cannot see these comments. I've really been trying to fix it, y'all. For real. Because I feel bad. Can I see it? I gotta sign in. It's gonna piss me off. I'm sorry, y'all. Do you think interest rates are gonna go back down? If so, how long do you think it will be? I don't have an opinion on that either. Unfortunately, the Fed thinks that this is the best way to fight inflation. So I don't have a degree in economics, so I can't tell you what to look for to know if interest rates are coming back down. All I can tell you is how it will affect you. Now, what I will say is interest rates is high as hell. So if you are entering the home buying process, you have been forewarned. But I think that's it. Just know that you've been forewarned. Now, after your credit inquiries, right? So let's say you got a whole bunch of inquiries, but you didn't open up all of those accounts. And so you're wondering, how can I get rid of these credit inquiries, right? How can I get rid of some of these if I didn't open none of these accounts? The first rule of disputing credit inquiries is if you opened the account with the company, do not dispute that inquiry. Because a lot of times what will end up happening is they will end up closing that account due to what they suspect to be fraud. Because why are you disputing this inquiry if it's a valid inquiry? That doesn't make sense to them, right? Because If it was not a valid inquiry, that means that this is fraud. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. I swear to God, I don't know what's going on. And this is so frustrating to me. Oh. I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, so the first thing you're going to want to do when you dispute inquiries is you're going to want to dispute. Aha! Okay, now I can see the TikTok comments. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. If you are on TikTok and you guys have comments, I can see them now. Or at least I see this one. But I kind of already answered that. I don't know. Now here it goes again. I don't know what's going on with TikTok or why I can't see the comments, but I swear I'm trying. There we go. Okay, now I can see the TikTok comments, I think. I hope. Anyway, so removing these inquiries are relatively easy, but it could also be tedious because if you dispute it with the credit bureaus and they're like, I'm not getting rid of these inquiries, sorry, hit up the individual creditors, then you're going to have to go to each individual creditor with the same letter. I can see the comments now on TikTok. So if you have a question, put your question in the comments. Now, disputing inquiries is super easy. You're just going to say, hey, you're playing off the law of permissible purpose, which is a part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The law of permissible purpose states that a creditor has to have your expressed consent to request a copy of your credit report. And so if they cannot demonstrate that consent, which is usually in the form of a written authorization or verbal confirmation or something like that, then they can't report an inquiry to the credit bureaus. So you're just going to send a letter to the credit bureaus and you're going to say to whom it may concern. I recently pulled a copy of my credit report and I noticed that this company or these companies are reporting inquiries into my credit history. However, I do not recall, or if you flat out just don't, if you didn't do it, say I didn't do it. But if you did do it, you just don't, or, and you want them removed, say, I do not have a copy, or you can just say, I don't recall, or you can say, you don't even have to acknowledge it. You could be like, I pulled a copy of my credit report and I'm noticing that these companies are reporting an inquiry. Please provide a copy of the written authorization or the expressed consent to request a copy of my credit report. If they cannot produce a copy of the written authorization or the expressed consent to pull a copy of my credit report, please have them remove these inquiries from my credit report as it violates the rights given to me under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And so that is how you would get rid of them. Now, what I have been seeing a lot lately, I'm going to be honest with you guys from the credit bureaus, is them saying, look, we're not investigating this shit. If you got a problem with what we're reporting, then you go to the creditor and say that to them. But that is still kind of like one of those boxes you need to check just to make sure that the credit bureaus aren't the one that messed up, right? So what you'll do is you'll take that same letter and just reformat it to whom it may concern. Because remember, each inquiry is not on every single credit report. Some creditors only check Experian, some only check Equifax, some only check TransUnion. So you'll have to go through and identify which ones are on which report, obviously for the credit bureau letter. And then when you go to the creditor and you're talking to them, you'll say, hey, you are reporting an inquiry into my credit history through this credit bureau, right? Through Experian or Equifax or TransUnion. You can even include a copy of the credit report highlighting the inquiry if you want to prove that it's there. And you're just going to ask them for the same thing. Please provide a copy of the written authorization or the expressed consent that I gave you to request a copy of my credit report. And that's usually in the form of a signed application or something like that. Now, if they produce a signed application, unfortunately, you're stuck with the inquiry. And that usually can be in the form of a signature, like your actual signature if you hand filled out the document, or if it's a digital signature, it will usually include your IP address, which is a very unique number that is assigned to you when you get on the internet. And they can use that to prove that it was actually you. So if they come back with that, you're stuck with the inquiry. But if they cannot prove that you gave them authorization to pull your credit, which a lot of times they can't because you never opened an account with them anyway, so it's not like they brought to save you stuff, then they will remove the inquiries from your credit report. Now, this will actually get you a couple points back, not a whole lot, but this will get you some points back. So I guess it's kind of like there is an added bonus of you could get a couple points out of this, but you definitely want to keep your credit inquiries clean because like I said, if you do have to shop around, you just don't want to look unworthy because it looks like you're begging. If somebody has to go around to a lot of different people and ask them for money, because that's literally what you're doing when you're applying for these accounts, that makes you look untrustworthy. It looks like you're begging. If you have paid for a collection account and they don't delete, what can I do? If you paid already and you did not negotiate a pay to delete pay to delete prior to payment, then unfortunately you can't force them to get rid of it. Now you still have options, but because you didn't negotiate it previously, they didn't do anything wrong. Now you could always go back and dispute it and be like, well, prove it, right? But I mean, you did pay, so a lot of times that is enough validation for them because you paid that debt. You could also maybe identify an inaccuracy in the way that it's reporting on the credit report. That is also an option. And what I mean by that is like if dates are off, if amounts are off, if it's a collection yet it's reporting as open, that is a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So you could go ahead and dispute it on those grounds. But unfortunately, you did not negotiate the removal of that collection prior to payment. So a lot of times there's no incentive for them to remove it. They already got your money. It's nothing else you can do for them. They got what they wanted out of you. And so you asking them for a favor is not going to make them do it. That's why it's really, really, really important for you to negotiate these things prior to making the payment. That's your bargaining chip, is the money that they want from you when it comes to these collections. Let me see. Capital One said they don't delete. Well, that's not a collection account. So I guess that's another thing we should probably talk about right quick. So when an account is in collections, that doesn't make it a collection account. A lot of companies like, let's see, AT&T, Verizon, Capital One, a lot of companies will do what's known as hiring a debt management company, which is not the same as hiring a debt collection company. Now, all of them collect on debt, yes, but there's two types of debt collection companies: debt managers and debt buyers. Debt buyers own the right to your debt, meaning they are now the data furnisher, right? So they are the ones who own the rights to collect on this debt. So they can choose to settle without having to run back and ask permission. They can also choose to stop reporting to the credit bureaus. If you have an account that is in collections and it is owned by a debt buyer or a debt purchaser, they're kind of referred to along the same lines, then you can negotiate a pay to delete with them because they are the data furnisher. They are the one reporting the information. And so they can be like, you know what, we're just not going to report anymore, or we'll remove it, or whatever the case may be. Now, if it is a debt buyer, meaning such and such company hired this company to collect the money on their behalf, right? If it is a debt buyer, if it's a debt management company, then they're only managing the debt. So they don't get to make those big boy calls of deleting the account and things like that. And if they are hired by the original creditor, unfortunately, your original creditor has something known as a duty to report. Now, 18 USC 8, that's not going to do anything. I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you, because Capital One has a duty to report as an original creditor. They have an obligation to report all of the history associated with this account, to include the fact that it was charged off. That means all of the payments history ever associated with this account, when the account was opened, when the account was closed. They have an obligation or a duty to report. And because of this, that is why charge-offs aren't as easy to remove. That doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that it's not going to be as easy to remove. Now, if you can identify an inaccuracy in the way that Capital One is reporting this account, or in a way that the credit bureaus are reporting it, that's not on Capital One's side, then of course you can probably get it removed. But remember, whenever you dispute something, there's, what's up, Debt Free Dad? There's two things that happens, right? Whenever you remove something, they either have to update or remove. Those are the two options, and update always comes first. So if you identify an issue with the way that it's reporting and the company goes in and fixes it, unfortunately, that means they're not going to remove it because they fixed the problem and it's now reporting accurately. However, if you identify an inaccuracy on your credit report, you've provided evidence to substantiate your claim, and the company has either willfully ignored you or just flat out refused to correct that information, there are other steps that you can take to escalate the situation and have the account removed. However, again, charge-offs are harder to remove because all of the original documentation that you signed and stuff like that is with them. They have it on file. The reason that collections are so easy to remove is because these companies are lazy. They buy this debt for pennies on the dollar. And so a lot of times they don't have all the documentation they need. And that is what is usually leveraged for a removal. So that is the difference between a debt management company and a debt buying company, or a debt purchaser, even though all of them are referred to as debt collectors. And I guess as financial literacy content creators, we have to be really cognizant of that difference and kind of start making that differentiation. I definitely need to start doing it a little more often, apparently. Now, there are certain things that you have to have on your credit report, right? Like when it comes to this home buying process. So what should my credit look like when I'm home buying? And there's a couple different answers. Like I said in the beginning, depending on where you are, that's going to depend on what your credit needs to be. Depending on where you are, what lender you're going with, how much you about to buy this house for. There's so many things. And, I've been live with, shout out to the mortgage mentor, Rebecca Richardson. I've been live with her a couple of times, and we've talked about how there are actual like laws, like this is what the law says. And then each camera, not each camera, I'm reading the comments. And then they'd be like, these are overlays that, mortgage companies have in order to work with them specifically. So you also need to differentiate like, okay, what's the actual requirement for this type of loan and what is the overlay for this company? Those are also things you want to take into account when you start this process. Now, a good credit baseline. So the average person with good credit, the average consumer with good credit just has specific things, right, on their credit report. At all times, they have at least 3 credit cards, 1 short-term loan, and 1 long-term loan reporting. Now, a short-term loan is a loan of some sort that you're paying back that the term length is 3 years or less. A long-term loan is longer than that. Now, short-term loans are like personal loans. So like those of you with self or just any personal loan, furniture leasing, things like that. Long-term loans are like student loans, mortgages, car loans, anything that's going to take you longer than 3 years to pay off. That is kind of like the guideline. Now, I'm not saying if you don't have a long-term loan, go out and buy a car. That's not what I'm saying. You can open up there are different types of accounts that you can open up to kind of compensate for the fact that you don't have that long-term loan. But what you also have to understand is that a good mix of accounts is important. A good mix of accounts is important for your credit history, to show that you are a well-rounded debt payer, right? I pay my bills are paid type shit, right? Now, let's talk late payments and home buying, because I think this is the number one thing that kind of holds people back a lot, is late payments. So if you have late payments in the last 24 months, you're about to make it really hard on yourself, especially if you got more than one. Now, if you got one, that's something that like, all right. But if you have more than one late payment in the last 24 months, you are about to make it incredibly hard to get you this house. Only because the last 2 years, that's a real solid pattern. So if you can't even pay your bills on time in the last 2 years, why would I expect you to pay your bills on time for the next 15 years? Or the next 30 years. You kind of see what I'm getting at? So the goal obviously is no late payments whatsoever, but especially in the last 2 years. Now, if you do have a late payment, here is one of the ways that you can remove that late payment or ask for it to be removed. Let me be more specific. So everybody knows about the goodwill letter, right? The goodwill letter is where you reach out to the company and you say, hey, you kind of leverage the relationship that you have with them. So this is kind of dependent on you having a good relationship with this lender, but you're like, hey, I got a good relationship with you. I love being a customer. Y'all love having me as a customer. I recommend y'all to everybody. I, send out my little joining, every season got the referral. We call it referral season. I send out my referral codes. I do everything y'all ask me to, and I'm hardly ever late. All I'm asking is for you to update my most recent late payments to paid as agreed. I understand that I was late. I lost my job or whatever your excuse was that caused you to miss those payments. You're going to want to say it in there. You're going to want to be honest, right? Because you're asking for forgiveness. You are not denying the fact that you were late. You are asking the company to forgive you. And I also need you guys to understand it could take more than one letter. Capital One told me no 3 times before they told me yes. I tell that story all the time about that. Capital One told me no 3 times before they told me yes. And this is also something that companies are only going to do for you one time, and that's it. They're like, you are not going to get another opportunity at this. So if you don't know for a fact that you're not going to be late, just make sure before you use your one chance, right? Just make sure. Now, some companies are going to tell you, no, we don't do this. This is against our policies. Sorry. And y'all not going to like this answer, but unfortunately, they have every right to. If they can prove that you were late and it's in their policy to report late payments, then unfortunately, you're going to be late. Now, the one loophole in this, I will say, is if you have a credit card. Now, there's something inside of the Fair Credit Reporting Act known as the Fair Credit Billing Act. It only applies to credit cards. Now, in that FCBA, it specifically states that a credit card company cannot report a late payment to the credit bureau unless that they can prove that they gave you access to your monthly statement no less than 21 days before the bill was due. Now, if you can provide proof that your credit card company did not do that for you, then you can argue that they had no legal right to report that late payment. Now, I will stop you there and say that, providing that monthly statement online is enough to be like, no, we gave them access to it. So if you have an online portal, you probably won't be able to use this. But if you have evidence to support that you got your monthly statement late, then you can get them to reverse that 1 month's, not all of them, just that one particular month's late payment. So if this is the only late payment that's holding you back, then you won't have a late payment essentially. Oh, look, she came. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. A company purchased a debt against my neighbor and sued. I was like, go to court. They have to prove you are obligated for the debt. Of course, they didn't have the paperwork and it was dismissed. That is the truth. So I don't know if y'all been following me for a while, but I've been talking to y'all about my court case. I think these people follow me on TikTok low key because every court date that they push it back to is always a date when I got something going on. But I always make it to court. But when I was in court for a credit card company is suing me for a card that I never had. And I was sitting in court and I'm listening to them call the cases. When you guys don't show up, these companies automatically win. When you show up and you say, I plan on disputing, or when you show up and you say, hey, if you show up and you say, well, I need them to prove X, Y, Z, a lot of times those companies don't have everything that they need to go all the way to trial. They'll either try to settle or they'll drop the case. So it's definitely in your best interest if you guys are getting these summons to go to court, go to court. I cannot stress this enough. Please go to court. But Nia is here, y'all. Oh, wait, now it says device is not connected. OMG. I'm gonna wait till she come back. All right. Now, other than late payments, I think the next biggest thing is the credit utilization, your credit usage. Now, a lot of y'all be like, where can I get points from? I need points in like 30 days, or I need points in 60 days, da, 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 da. If you need points, this should be the first place you look, your credit utilization. If you have hot balances on your credit cards, I guarantee you that's where all your points are trapped right there. It's in that credit utilization. Credit utilization is 30% of your credit score. So the higher your credit usage is, or the balances on your credit cards, the lower the amount of points you're getting from this section is. So you're going to want to pay these credit cards down, and you're going to want to pay them down quick. I typically tell my clients to put their credit cards in order of who has the highest interest rate, not necessarily the balance. And that's only because the interest can make it so that whatever progress you thought you was making, bro, you wasn't really, because that interest is about to kill you. And now that the Fed raised the interest rates, it's about to get even worse. For those of you who leave balances on your credit cards, you will notice an increase in your bill in the next, I want to say 1 to 2 billing cycles. You will notice an increase in your bill. And you didn't do anything extra. You didn't spend more money. It's just that the variable interest rate that's associated with your account is going to increase, because whenever the Fed raises their rates, credit card rates are going to go up with it. So it is in your best interest to start paying your credit cards down now. For the love of God, please pay your credit cards down as soon as possible. If you have good credit, you also have the option of transferring your credit balance, right? So you can open up a credit card that offers you 0% interest on transferred like credit balances or whatever, or it's called a credit balance transfer. I don't know why I spaced out just now. But yeah, so they'll give you 0% interest on your balance for 18 months. So that gives you 18 months to pay this off before they start charging you interest again. That is an option for those of you who have good or decent credit. Now, if you have poor credit, unfortunately, you're not going to qualify for something like that. So the only option you really have is to pay it off. Again, this goes back to, you need to make sure you have a budget. Without a budget, you don't know how much money you have to even put extra towards your credit cards outside of your minimum monthly payments. So it's really, really important. If you guys need a budget plan, I cannot stress this enough. It's completely free. I swear to God, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. www.physical.com. That's FISECAL.com/themoneyplug. That's what you're going to go to. That's actually the last credit thing I wanted to talk about, because the other stuff I'm really hoping she talked about. So without further ado, y'all, I do want to introduce y'all to one of my personal finance besties. I have been live with her in her Gold Diggers community previously. So her audience isn't necessarily a stranger to me, right? But y'all are new to her. Let me change this so that they can actually see you when I bring you up. But hey, Nia. Oh wait, I put this on now.
Hey. You can hear me?
You, yeah, I can hear you. Hold on, let me take this
Okay,
off.
good. Yes, I think I unplugged my mic by accident.
Soon as I went to add you up, it was like devices not connected. Oh, hold on, let me unplug this. I forgot Instagram can't hear you. Hold on, let me unplug this and turn it up. All right, there y'all go. All right, Instagram. Y'all
Yes, I just
me.
went out, got my life together, and came back.
Okay.
What are you gonna do this again?
But everybody, I want to introduce y'all to Nia. We met for the first time physically at FinCon, which was amazing. But I've been following her for a while. And like I said, I've been she had me live inside of her Facebook group previously. Oh, we're such kindred spirits. Like I literally like love her.
Yeah, we was gonna stay on the call for like forever after.
But like y'all, he said y'all both sound good on the YouTube end. Okay, perfect. But
good. Thank you.
The reason why
I say right. Do we want to tell them like really?
No,
really
not yet.
Oh.
I want to tell them that at the end. But I want to talk about your book.
Okay.
Y'all, so she's coming out with a home buying book, and I'm so proud. Like, and I'm so excited. So tell us about your book.
So it's kind of a labor of love because me myself, I guess I originally purchased my first house when I was young, so I can, say the stats. Oh, I bought my house at 20, but I also fumbled the bag. So I bought and lost my house in my 20s. So the mistakes that I made from lack of preparation, lack of education, you know what I'm saying? It made me realize that people needed a resource like this, and a lot of people, the first thing people say, oh, well, the interest rates are high, interest rate high. This is to prepare yourself. So if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. You need to prepare your finances regardless. But if you have hopes or you have goals of purchasing a house, it's not something to jump into. You want to prepare yourself for it, So the name of the book is Life is Short, Buy the House, the ultimate guide to prepare for home ownership. So it's about 4 parts. What? Don't tell us then say no.
We're gonna tell you just at the end.
Right, it's coming. So it's about 5 parts to the book. And essentially I broke it down. Like first I go into talking about my journey, like I said, myself and what I did and how I fumbled, and I tell like what I made mistakes at. And then I go into why I wrote this book. So then we jump right into it and get into preparing your finances. So looking in the mirror, because you have to know where you are at before you can see where you're going to go and before you can decide where you want to go. So looking in the mirror, checking your credit, because whatever loan officer or mortgage broker you deal with should not know your credit better than you. You shouldn't be waiting with them like, so what's going to be on there? You should know already.
Like, oh my goodness. I cannot believe it.
So with that being said, like checking your credit, things you can do to just be a better steward over your credit, period, like point blank, period. Then it goes into budgeting. So you can know how much home can I afford to buy? Because if I'm not comfortable paying my current bills, or I already feel like I'm struggling and suffocating, I'm going to be searching for a life vest when I buy this house. So let me work on that right now, and this is the way that I can work on it. And then of course we got to go to saving, because you don't want to buy your house and have no money left. You want to save more than your down payment, which is a big mistake that a lot of people make. And then, some people use, oh, well, they're getting down payment assistance, but that's still, you should still save even if you're getting down payment assistance, because some down payment assistance has a lot of different requirements that you have to abide by to get that money. Like, for example, some down payment assistance programs require you to stay there for 5 years. If you stay there less than 5 years, then they're going to prorate that, and part of it will be a loan because you didn't stay the required 5 years. So do you want to sign up for that with the money, or do you want to finance it yourself? Prepare your own credit profile and financial profile so you can make the decisions around here and you can be the boss of your home buying journey. You should be shopping mortgage brokers and shopping lenders to decide who you want to work with, not, oh, well, my cousin went with them because I'm just going to go with them. Because Their financial situation is different from yours. You might have other options that you don't know about. So you want to empower yourself to have a better profile so you can walk in there like a boss, basically. So then next it goes.
I got a question about the saving thing. So I typically tell people kind of hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, right? So for somebody who, yeah, I'm getting down payment assistance, how, like, let's say for if the down payment assistance is like, oh, we cover up to 10K, up to 12K, right? Like, let's say that's what the requirement is. How much would you suggest that they save anyway, just in case?
So all of this depends on the purchase price of your home. Your purchase price for your home determines all of your down payment, closing costs. It's all a percentage based on your total cost of your home. So let's say, for example, if you're getting an FHA loan, which a lot of people like to do FHA loan because they're more lenient with their requirements and they have a lower down payment. But be mindful, if you're using FHA, you're going to have like a mortgage insurance premium to pay every month. So it's essentially like having another, like you have your car insurance, your home insurance, you're going to have mortgage insurance, and that you will have to pay that premium every month in addition to your mortgage. So that's the type of things you want to be more educated about, because you might have the ability to bring in more money so that you don't have to do those things. But if you don't know, that's an option. So closing costs on average is 2 to 5% of your purchase price. So if you're purchasing a house for $100,000, that can be, it's going to be a percentage of it. You want to save, I personally recommend 6%, at least 6 to 10% of what your total price is if you're getting down payment assistance and it's helping you. And I'll tell you why. For one, you have other costs that are associated with your home buying. So you have your down payment and your closing costs, that's fine. You also have an appraisal you have to pay for. You have earnest money that you have to give up front, which is basically money you give when you put an offer and you tell somebody, I want to buy your house. You have to give this amount of money with that offer. So that's additional funds you have to come out of your pocket before that down payment assistance is applied. Then you have to get a home inspection, which, depending on what type of property you're buying, is going to be a different cost. You might need additional inspections. You might need a termite inspection. You might need a radon inspection. You might need a LADON. It all depends on what market your house is in, what your home inspector sees. You might be in a market that are prone to having termites. So you want to get that check and spend that extra small amount of money now so you can see how bad the infestation is or whatever the case may be. But these are additional costs that are associated with your home. If you're an investor and you're looking to purchase to rent it out, you have to get it tenant ready. And there's additional things you have to do. You have to put railings. You got to put fire extinguishers. If it's going to be rented to Section 8, they have guidelines you have to follow too. So once you close, that might not be the end of you having to come out of money. And if you're moving itself is expensive. Then we know you want to decorate. So it's like thinking about all those different things, you want to be mindful of them. And that's why even if you're getting down payment assistance, you still want to have your own money saved.
I have another question. What about USDA loans? Are their requirements different?
There are, but USDA loans normally is for rural areas. So you have to be buying in a specific area to qualify for that. So I talk about them very briefly in it, but because they're essentially rural they're essentially for rural areas. It's kind of like I believe it's to try to build up those areas. So they have great terms, but are you okay with not having a lot of neighbors?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to consider. Exactly. So if you're somebody that's ideal for you, yes, look into it, see what your options are. But that's the whole purpose of the book, for you to know it. So I list the actual resources. Like, I talk about VA loans briefly, but I don't get deep into them. But I put an actual .gov website so you can go have somewhere to go to get the real information. Like, that's really what the point of it is. Like, I go through, I tell you like some of the minimized terms. I give you questions you should ask your lender when you're thinking about going with this person to purchase from. Can you do a lock rate, which basically means that if you talk to them today and they give you this interest rate, are you able to do something where you can lock that in so it doesn't change and doesn't go up even if it goes up? Do they offer that? If they offer that, what is the process? So can you buy down? So it's just so many things that you have to ask and think about and be mindful, but it essentially prepares you to be interviewing the mortgage broker as opposed to, it kind of puts you in the control, in the driver's seat of your home buying process.
I really like that. She said my area qualifies for the USDA loan. That's really
cool. Damn, that's nice. Yes, exactly. So if her area qualifies, yes, because it gives you.
I love that you said that you give resources because you're not a mortgage loan officer.
No.
But the fact that you give legitimate resources, and I think that's something that I've seen personally missing from a lot of these like home buying ebooks and all this other stuff that I've seen kind of on the market currently. Like they'll give me all of these tips, but nobody's really providing resources for me to do my own research or to get more information and stuff like that. And so I definitely want to applaud you for that because that's what's missing. Like I'm one of those people who got to see it. I got to touch it. I need to be able to verify it for myself.
And see, that's the thing. I'm not a mortgage broker and I'm not a real estate agent. That to me makes me the best person to tell you because I'm not going to make any money whether you buy or not. You buying the house is not going to benefit me financially. My financial and my income is not dependent upon you buying the house. And the book is $20. So I'm not trying to be funny, but obviously the $20 is not going to. The purpose is to provide a one-stop shop when you have a place to get information. Now, when it comes to like getting information about loans, the thing with that is each lender creates their own criteria. So you have to talk to the specific lenders and they'll be able to tell you. So if a loan officer tells you that you have to have this credit score, you have to have this, they're telling you the truth. That's what you have to work with them. There might be another lender that might have different guidelines that you will be able to work with based on your financial situation. So one thing to be mindful of is overlays. Mortgage officers or lenders have overlays. So, we all hear FHA, you can have as low as a 580 credit score, but some lenders require more than that and they have the ability to do that. So that's called an overlay. If they have something that requires more than FHA, because remember, FHA is not lending out any money. It's a federal program, but they're not the ones actually dishing out the funds to you. The banks are. So when the banks are lending out the money, they can set overlays, which are basically additional criteria you have to follow so that they can eliminate some of their risk. Because essentially, they're just looking to try to see the likelihood of you're going to pay them back, the likelihood that you have the ability to pay them. Because in the book, I describe it as marrying the mortgage. Essentially, you're telling them for 30 years in sickness and in health, through good and bad, you're going to pay them every month. So they're trying to see the likelihood that that's going to happen. So most of the actions that they're taking is going to be frustrating. It might get on your nerves, but they're essentially trying to see the likelihood that you're going to be able to pay them back. And most of their decisions are based on that. Well, not including like systematic issues and things like that, just talking on the surface.
So let me ask you this, if you don't mind me asking you. You ain't got to answer this shit. I'm just nosy. But like, what do you think was one of the main things that caused you to lose your home?
Oh, I can tell you. I tell the whole story in the book. I have no problem telling you. I literally tell the whole story. Like, I thought I was ready, sis. I wasn't ready. Like, that's what it says in the book. I mean, the whole point is to keep it real. Like, I feel like it's something that we jump into and we don't know. We just have no clue that even the parts to the home buying process, we have no clue that you're going to have to go through all these steps. You're going to have to do all these things. You're going to have all these people involved and these people going through all of your finances with a fine tooth comb. Like, oh, you spelled your name different on your paycheck. What's that? Who's that? Who's that? Like, they get that technical, especially after everything that happened in 2008. My story is I was young, working at the Postal Service, and you got that good government.
Girl, that CCA check wasn't no joke.
You swear you could buy the world, you could buy the block, because you got it like that. And you have the mentality that, oh, I could just go back to work and just work overtime and make the money if I need money, because you feel like it's that easy. But it's not. So I didn't know anything about the process, but I heard other people talking about it, the American dream. So at 25, I went to the loan officer like, okay, I want to buy a house. He's like, no, you don't. You do not want to buy a house. I'm like, no, I want. He's like, no, you don't have any credit. You don't have no money saved. He was like, no, you don't. Not for me. So he kind of, I mean, he wasn't mean about it, but he kept it real. So that was my eye open. Like, I'm not. So he literally told me, like, you need this, you need this, you need this. And I don't know, I'm a very goal seeking, goal oriented person. So I was like, oh, bet. So I went, and this was before Google.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be back, you know. This was before Google, before YouTube. We didn't have all that then. This is back in exactly, because society gas up for home buying, higher education, and marriage. That's true. That's true. So that's the thing. I didn't have Google or none of that. So I went buying books. I started reading up on it and implementing what I saw in the books. And we also didn't have as many books as we have now. So I was just figuring it out on my own. It took me 2 years. So at 27, I closed on my first home. I could tell you the exact date. It was, because I remember numbers. It was, I would. I'm a personal finance person, so of course I do. I bought my house October 28, 2010. Okay. I slipped on ice. 2010. That was my first house. Yes. I slipped on ice on December 4th, 2010. 6 weeks later. No money saved, because I was delivering mail. Remember my good government job. Yeah. And I live in Chicago.
Oh my God.
So we have this thing where they call it black ice, where it snows and then it gets cold. So then that snow freezes, but then it snows another day on top of that snow. And you have no idea that it's ice under the snow.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're just stepping on snow. So I slipped, hurt my ankle. I mean, I hurt it bad. Like, I tore a tendon, ruptured a ligament, or the other way. Like, yeah, hurt it bad. I had a boots, cast. They kept trying to figure out what was wrong. Eventually, I had to get an MRI. And then when I got the MRI, they said, oh, you need surgery. A piece of my bone had broken off in my ankle. Like they said, it was a basketball injury, and I don't play basketball at all. So ended up having surgery, then had to get work conditioning after, because no way I'm going from surgery back to them streets. So work condition. So long story short, it took about 2 years for me to get back to consistently working. I mean, and I was on workers' comp, but it takes a while before workers' comp kicks in. And especially you dealing with the government, I still work for the government. We move slow. We are not fast in nothing that we do. So that time between me injuring myself and filing my claim, because at first I didn't file the claim because I needed money. Couldn't afford, I didn't have any savings. So I'm like, I can't afford to, I just got this damn house. I was just, puffing my chest out. This is supposed to be, this exhilarating, oh my God, experience. And now I'm like, damn, what am I going to do? So long story short, I ended up losing the house. Had foreclosed on it after I tried other options, then end up filing bankruptcy. So I essentially had to just start like from scratch, like boop, clean slate. Okay, let's try this again. So that's really, to be honest, that experience right there, it kind of shapes this. It kind of shapes the part of this, what made me create the book. And the second part is, okay, so catching you up to the future. After that, I had to pull myself back up, with the secured credit cards, you know how to go, build myself back up, get my credit together, and go through all of that stuff to do better. I end up taking a big pay cut because, again, I'm a single mother. So I had my daughter at 17. I was 9 months pregnant at my prom. I had my daughter May 31st, and then I checked myself out of the hospital against medical advice on June 1st because I had to go take exams, turn in books. I needed to graduate. I didn't want to not graduate because I got a baby. So the likelihood of me being able to return and get that in the summer is not going to happen. So that, of course, creates financial issues. I have a daughter now. When she got to the point where she was approaching high school, I'm like, okay, I can't keep working. Like, and anybody that works at the post office, they work very long hours, and you're out on the street all day, like, especially when you first start. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something. This is not going to work. So I went back to school, got my bachelor's, because to transfer in the government, they don't consider being a mail carrier as like experience for a lot of jobs. So they would not. I applied for 4 years, bruh. 4 years. Nobody took me. It wasn't until I got my bachelor's. Then which we talked about that on Monday. That's when they let me transfer. But I still only transferred off the bachelor's alone. I didn't have any experience to go with it. So I took a $20,000 pay cut.
Oh, my chest. Oh, my chest. Oh.
Yes. Yet another L. Yet another L in the books. Took a pay cut. But you know what, though? And I know it sounds funny for me to say, but that was the best thing that ever could have happened. I did it because I didn't want my daughter out there. I was so determined in the fear of she's not going to have a child at 17. I'm not having it. This stop. I was about to curse. This stops with me.
No, why does that cuss on here?
I love it. Like, this shit stops with me. The struggle stops with me. We not about to do this again. We not about to run this back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, well, even the guy asked me in the interview, like, did you see the vacancy announcement? I'm like, yeah, I saw it. He was like, and you sure? I said, I need my weekends off. I want her to be able to go to like programs, and she couldn't join any programs because I couldn't pick her up. Mm-hmm. I was at work, so I can't pick her up. She can't join any activities. We need to try to get scholarships, and then I want to keep her out the streets and give her more productive things and, give her something that I couldn't do because I couldn't be in programs for the same reason. My mom was at work all day. Yeah. So, doing what she had to do. So that's one of the things that made me switch to take the pay cut and accept it, but it still was the best thing I ever had. I'm laughing at that every day.
I like watching Marquia's lives because she curses as much as I do. Nah, for real. And then it'd be funny because like I don't realize I cursed until after the fact.
Really?
I was on my podcast the other day, y'all. If y'all hear this podcast, I'm so sorry. I was on my podcast the other day and I had cussed and I didn't realize it. We kept talking and I cussed again. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I cursed. And they was like, oh girl, that is not the first time. I think it was Anthony, as a matter of fact. I think it was when I was on About That Wildly.
He said that's not the first time.
But don't even worry about it. We in it. Got to see it through, my boy. Like
exactly. That's so sad that we talking TikToks. I have whole conversations in TikToks. I'm not gonna lie. I do it all the time. And people who don't watch TikTok be like, okay. I'm like, you don't get it. You don't get it.
That was me whenever my mom, like whenever somebody say something like, oh, what you think this look like? I'd be like, I like it, Picasso. And they'd be looking at me crazy.
Right. They'd be like, which one you want? BOAF. Both. Because you watch it so much, so.
It's literally my life. Somebody said, do they have insurance with your mortgage for incidents like what you went through, disability?
So that's something, I don't know if they have that with your mortgage. The insurance with your mortgage is for the lender, not for you. You're paying it because you put less than 20% down. So that's kind of making you riskier because you didn't put as much money down. So they're putting insurance on your mortgage to make you pay it in case you default. So they get their money back. They're not putting the insurance on your mortgage for you. So you might have to go look into your own disability insurance. Like, I don't know much about insurance and I like to stay in my lane, but you might want to have to look into your own like short-term disability. And again, this was before I got my life right with money, as I call it. So I wasn't educated on the options that I even had. Like now I got more options. Like I got investments I can pull from if I have, an emergency now. But before, at this point, I was 27. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any prior knowledge, any financial education, period.
Somebody said, could you pull from a HELOC? If so, like if you run into this issue, could you pull from a HELOC to pay for that?
But you owe the lender.
Right.
So do you think they're going to give you? You think they're gonna give you money and you're not paying the money you owe now? They're gonna laugh like, yeah, they're not gonna give you, they're not gonna, you're considered a risk at that point because you're behind. And then when I'm trying to pay it, they're not accepting payments. They want the full amount. So by the time, because I talk about in the book, I avoided it at first. I'm like, okay, the workers' comp just gonna come through, I'm gonna wait it out and just, sit and suffer in silence, because I didn't know any better, but it ended up running into each other. But by that point, they're like, no, there's no partial payment. We want all or nothing. So either you give us all our money or you got to go. That's your only option. You're not, so a HELOC probably wouldn't work. It probably the person who suggested the short-term disability might be a better option for you. What financial habits are you using that to go back to where you were? For one, I have a savings. So I am a real estate investor, and then I have a business, and then I work my job. Each one of those pockets, the financials are separate. So if I have somebody who's not in my property for a year, I can afford my mortgage. So when I made the decision to buy that house, I calculated having it vacant for periods of times. So I made sure that I have money sitting there. You can put it in a high yield savings account. It's up to you how you do it. I recommend high yield savings because it gives you a little bit more money, at least until you get to the point where you have your money that you need liquid. And beyond that, I would invest, but that's a whole nother story. But that's one of the things I did. I keep my pockets separate. I don't mingle any of my money, even though the investment properties in my name, I still don't mingle that money. So that's one thing. I keep my finances organized and I keep them separate. Two, I have a savings. I don't put out more than I bring in. So if this is the amount of money that I have coming in, I'm not putting it out. So a lot of times we get in the habit of we just pay bills the way that they come, and we're just in such a habit of paying them, or even we'll send extra money on our credit cards because it makes us feel good. But we didn't even calculate if we had enough money to pay the extra on the credit card this month. Like, did we have enough to send that money? So essentially, it makes you feel good for the moment. But if you're not making sure of what's coming in, that's the first step, knowing exactly what's coming in and going out. What are we working with? What do we have coming out? Like, because I'm all about splurging. I'm all about not having to choose between going on a trip or, being on your budget. I'm all for doing both. Okay, right, bam. Budget and action plans right there. That's what you need.
The apps is free customized plans.
Exactly. Seriously.
You have to know your money. If you don't know your money, like you said, these banks and these people that you asking money from, like, they should not know your finances better than you. Nobody should be able to tell you about yourself.
You should be able to know. So that's the thing right there. Knowing what's coming in, knowing what's going out, having some sort of savings and system. And a lot of people, when they're struggling, we always say, pay yourself first, pay yourself first, pay yourself first. I preach it to the mountaintop. And people are like, oh, if I don't have enough money, how can I do it? Well, we all been at a point where we was budgeting and we had to juggle bills, right? So we juggle bills for each other. Why can't we juggle them for ourselves? So you telling me the light bill can't get paid this month so I can put that money for myself and then I pay them next month until you get yourself afloat, because that savings is going to be your seed money to wealth. You want to start a business. You want to start investing. You want to start a property. You're going to need some sort of money. So unless you start doing that, you're going to find yourself in this same cycle, in the same predicament, struggling. And nobody wants that. I don't want that for you. I don't have to know you to know that I don't want that for you. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody said, how much do you need for a high yield savings? So it's so funny that you said that, because I'm actually working with Money Under 30 on an article about it. This is so, girl, I got my first paid freelance assignment. Like, but anyway, it really depends on where you go. It depends on what bank or financial institution that you are using when it comes to what's the minimum required for these accounts. And that's not the only savings options that are available to you. You got the money market accounts, you got CDs, you got traditional savings accounts. So, thank you, Anthony. But you have a lot of options. So, like,
but the word here that we're saying,
she didn't notice when she was going through her situation. She didn't understand.
No, I was 27. This was years ago. This was all years ago. I am so not. I'm a real estate investor now. I'm a completely different woman these days. Right?
Like around your late 20s, you start caring. But you know why? And
I
blame social media for this. They really have you thinking.
No, because there wasn't no social media then. Wasn't no social media when I was 27.
I'm talking about for us now.
Oh, okay.
For us now, especially those of us that grew up with social media. So those of us in our early 30s, late 20s, those who didn't have it at first and then we grew up with it. Social media has had us thinking that we were supposed to have our lives figured out. at
together
20, 21, 22. Because we see these other kids who millionaires and it's like, we got the same 24 hours. What you doing with yours? And that social pressure has led to the crippling depression, the astronomical debt, the going into the home buying process, not really understanding the total consequence of that action, getting these cars and doing these things that aren't fulfilling us because we don't even understand what we're doing it. We're doing it because we see it, not because we understand it. And so, it's I really blame social media for this, but I also thank social media because for people like you and me and all of these other people who Anthony and Debt Free Dad and Money Talks with T and Rakim Sabri and everybody who gets on these platforms and put the resources out, put the positive information out, put the truth out. Because for every 10 videos you see that's a lie, you're going to see something that's the truth.
But that's why I created the book. So essentially, I have a free home buying guide. My free home buying guide talks about 5 different steps you should take to prepare for home ownership. And I created a mini course. So each step, I have a free video that goes with it to kind of elaborate more on why that's an important step in your home buying process. Like you said, completely free. So that's why I created the book. Maybe you can't afford, maybe you have debt you want to pay down before you purchase a house, so you can't afford to purchase my courses. Okay, bam, the book is $20. You see what I'm saying?
Jamal King. He's a real estate investor in Chicago.
This name sounds familiar, but I don't know him particularly.
Somebody said same 24 hours as Beyonce and Warren Buffett. I tell people all the time, I do not have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. Beyonce got nannies and esthetician.
Exactly. I don't have the same 24 hours. Exactly. Because I had to cook my own food today, first off.
Yes. Okay. So let me tell y'all, first world problems. DoorDash was down earlier when I went to order my food. So I had to eat food out the kitchen. Do y'all, and y'all who know me or who've been following me for a while, y'all know I'm the Aunt Bird of my family. I do not cook. So
see, I do. I meal prep. Like I cook my food on one day because I'm super busy. And it helps me because I don't want to, I have to monitor eating out. I got hypertension and diabetes, I'm keeping them off. So
right.
So that's why for me.
I just did the simple thing. I got married to a man who knows how to cook. Now I don't starve you.
See, I'm single, so tell him find a cousin, an older cousin.
Listen, let me tell you, don't say that. They might be watching. Don't say that. They might be watching.
So you said I should have did my hair before I came.
Somebody said I don't have the mental capacity to meal prep. My food choices change too much. Oh my God, it's facts.
Oh, so see, that's the thing. See, that's what you think. So I didn't say that I cook all. First, you can order from people who meal prep, so you can get multiple options. 2, I don't know where people are from, but here in Chicago, we have a store called Mariano's where we can go and the produce, they cook the meat for you. So I can go and order 2 chickens, 2 steaks, 3 pieces of salmon, and I'll still have a variety of food. So it's options. This is 2022. This is definitely the world of options and opportunities. So if you want to do it, because I'm the same way, I can't eat the same thing all week. It's not going to work out for me. I need to have different sides and different meats. I can't do none of them all the same.
I've always wondered that. Somebody said I used to use Freshly and the food came prepared like HelloFresh. I always wonder.
How did you like that? Yeah, how was that?
Yeah, was it seasoned? Because if it turned out like that tasty food, I'm gonna have to add some additional seasoning.
I don't know what tasty food is.
Tasty is this Facebook page where they be making food, but girl, you should see some of the shit.
Oh, I know what you're talking about with the 2 E's.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that.
Shopping and eating out blew my budget, so I know better now. What? They said it was like $200 a week. Girl, hell is hot.
$200 a week.
Hell is hot because I'm not paying that. I done ran off on that plug. Like you are.
I cook the food for you for $200 a week.
I will cook for you for $200.
That's what I'm saying. I will cook for them for $200 a week. That's a nice little new property loaning. Let's go.
For real. Oh my God, that's a lot of money. I don't even want to tell y'all what I spent eating out. But see, and you know what?
I don't spend a lot of money eating out. I don't spend a lot of money on Amazon.
He said food stamps don't work that high. But I always tell people like this
And
is where it goes.
I don't have food stamps to work, do any work for me. I want food stamps to work, do some work. I want food stamps. I do, but I don't.
I want it, but I just don't want all the stuff that's that's tied to it. You can't make over a certain amount.
Exactly. That's what I said. I want it, but I don't want it because I don't want the requirements that come along with being qualified for food stamps. I don't want it. So I stay where I'm at. I stay where I'm at.
I can feed a family of 6 for $200 a week. I got a family of 7 and we could do it. Don't do me. Look, listen, my Instagram, Instagram don't let me share my screen or whatever. So I got my phone pointing towards the computer. And when I fell out, y'all know I'm over dramatic as hell. So when I fell out, I knocked the phone over, right? And so I was sitting here trying to fix it while you was talking. And somebody in the comments like, dang, Markia, toss me around like the French girls.
Tell this is a real life experience. No, look, tell this is a real life experience. Finances is a roller coaster.
No, period. What do you think was kind of like one of the big things that you like, maybe like when you were writing the book, it was something that you probably didn't think about including initially, but kind of as the book developed, you was like, you know what, I gotta put this in there.
One of them was the information about down payments and listing some of the requirements that down payments have. That was one of them, including that, I know, because, you are the how to catch a credit guru. A lot of these credit gurus will tell you to just delete everything. But mortgage brokers have other resources other than your credit to find out information about you. So you can delete it if you want to. Underwriting is going to check everything. Okay. Everything. They might get, I don't want to get graphic on here, but they're going to get down and dirty. They're going to be, you're going to be, you're going to be I guess not faxing, but sending and emailing so much information that they'll be requesting from you. And that's another thing too. They check your credit. So just because they check your credit in the beginning, they're going to check it again in the end. So the things that I decided to add was the cost of moving. I put a home buying terms you should know at the back of the book in alphabetical order.
I love
I thought about people. I put 10 things not to do while navigating the home buying process, because a lot of people do things like go buy a car or go finance the furniture for their new house and call themselves, oh yes, a home buying no list. And then they'll go finance things before they close and cause themselves to lose the loan. So then I put the cost of moving, things to think about when you're thinking about moving. What else did I put in there that was like a second thought?
Yes, Marcus. So he said, so do you get 2 dings on your credit report? Yes, but it like inquiries don't cost you a lot of points. If an inquiry cost you a home loan, you was never going to get that home loan. Like,
you was never going to get it.
And especially like 3 points.
And especially because they're the ones who run it. Like, so yeah.
So yeah, it's not going to mean anything. But that whole financing furniture and shit. So what you're talking about, those 2 separate instances is once when you get your pre-approval and then once at closing.
You want to keep your credit the same way.
We always tell people do not make any major moves in between that time, because that house is not yours until after you close. Any little thing, like I tell people all the time, they be like, should I pay my car off? Absolutely not. You keep making that fucking payment until you get through closing, and then you can pay it off. Because when you pay off a loan,
everything stops.
Exactly. Don't do nothing. Sit your ass down.
Exactly. Just continue to save money so that your money can grow. Because another thing they look at is they want you to have reserves, and they want that money to be seasoned. So seasoned basically means it's been sitting in your account for over 2 months. Because they're going to ask you, if you have some money come from anywhere, they're going to want to know who, what, when, where, how. Like, example, when I bought a house, the first house that I was going to purchase, you normally get it inspected. And if it doesn't pass the inspection, it's kind of depending on how your contract is written, it kind of gives you an out. And you can say, oh, well, this house didn't pass inspection, so I'm not going to purchase it anymore. So I did that. And then like I told you before, you pay earnest money. So since I'm not purchasing the house and I legally backed out of the contract, I get my earnest money back. So I deposited it back in my account, no sweat, right? Well, when I did find the house that I ended up purchasing, they made me show them how I got the money in the first place to pay that earnest money for the first house. I had to show paycheck stubs from that period in time to prove that that's how the money, and show back, like, they will check everything. So don't move. Just do, act normal. Act like nothing is happening.
Somebody said you can't treat a home like a car dealership and just bring a check to pay for it outright. Yeah, but I mean, for that, you won't have to finance. If you buying a house outright, that is always
Exactly. You
I know
absolutely
people who
can.
bought homes cash.
You absolutely can buy cash. I highly recommend you do it too. But you want to, the important things you want to think about, especially if you're moving like that where you're buying properties cash, you got to make sure your numbers work. Forget those cabinets, forget that island. Who cares that you got an island system? You can put your own island in your house. You want to make sure those numbers work. And you want to make sure those numbers work based on what your goals are. Are you buying this house for cash flow? Are you buying this house for appreciation? Which basically means you know that maybe this neighborhood is going to grow. So you know this property is going to be worth a lot of money later. So you're not as focused on bringing in money right now. Or you're buying it because you're trying to create another source of income. So have all that down. The perfect app to use is called Deal Check, especially if you're buying it to rent it out. It lets you run the property. You can compare the cost. You can put in landscaping, accountant, property manager, and it'll spit out to you how much money you'll make, because you have to consider vacancy rates, which basically means how the likelihood that your property will be vacant during that year. You know, so those are the type of things you want to consider. But if you have the cash to do it, you cash is king with buying real estate. You can negotiate better. Think about it. If you're selling your house, if somebody come to you with, oh, I got to get this FHA loan, and then the next person come here and say, well, I got cash, you're going to go to the cash person like, hey, how you doing?
No, because hey, guaranteed.
Exactly. It's guaranteed as cash. It's not going to take you 45 days, because when you purchase in cash, that closing, that window is much shorter, because you don't have to deal with the bank in their part of the process. I highly recommend doing it, but just do it educated. Like, make sure that you still get an inspection.
And shout out to y'all. So Cammie said, I wanted to try to buy a house next year, but I'm gonna wait till 2024 because I'm definitely not ready. And you know, I did a post. I put it on everything. I had put it on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And it on every platform.
What post you talking about?
On every platform except Instagram. You know, I got a lot of support for it. So for those of you who don't know, I just moved. And I am very adamant and open and transparent about the fact that I'm renting. You goddamn right, I rent.
How about this? I'm a real estate investor. In my current place where I live right now, I'm renting. But that don't change me from getting that check every month. And I got a property manager, so I just wait for my check every month from my properties. But I'm still renting where I live because it's all based on you and your financial situation. So when I purchased my properties, I originally was going to buy a multi-unit, but I live in Chicago. Chicago is a crazy market. And it's hard to have reliable contractors. Whoever mentioned Jamal King, if they personally know him, they probably will know that that's how it is here. So I essentially end up buying in another location because that's where the numbers look better for me to meet my financial goals. I'm not moving over there. So I live right here in rental. Of course, it's a nice economical rental also. That's why. But I still rent. And I proudly tell people that I still rent. It does not change me being an investor because I'm renting. Exactly. Keep personal finance personal. So what? Right. Oh, and he said for the first 15 saved properties. Correct. So up to 15 properties that you analyze, you'll be able to not have to pay for deal check. Oh, most of any resource, mostly I give like apps and stuff, is not paying up front. Right.
Somebody said, see, this is why I like it. They come around 24/7 for all emergencies. If I get a house, I'm gonna be scrolling through Angie's List for hours.
Oh no. But tell them they start that process before they buy the house. Don't wait till they buy the house to build up their team. Like you start when you know that you're going to purchase, watch people, start stalking them on social media. See if you vibe with them. Look for referrals, but start building those relationships before you purchase. That's what my whole goal is, to help prepare for home ownership. You know what I'm saying? So don't wait till you buy it, because you might be able to build up a team by then. I don't know if that was the same person talking about till 2024, but if you're not purchasing till 2024, you have plenty of time to start getting out here. Real estate is a relationship game. It's real big on the relationships. What happened?
He said, "I'ma just keep calling dad until I can't no more." No, cause facts. Cause let me tell y'all, I call my
I
mama
can't
for
do that.
everything. Ah,
So see, I can't do that.
ah.
You remember when I had said my parents were 17 when they had me? I can't call them. If I fail, I was just gonna hit the ground. So if you got that option, definitely utilize it to the best of your benefit. I'm not knocking it, not one bit. Use it to your benefit and leverage it so that you can accomplish your goals. Because if I could go stay with my mama right now and not even rent, baby.
I be telling my sisters all the time. So I'm the second oldest of 6, and I tell my siblings all the time, bro, stay here. What are you doing? Stay here, bro.
But
If it
they
wasn't
they don't see it
military,
yet.
I would still be here.
Yeah, they don't see it yet.
Somebody said my aunt tried to tell me to get a house, and I only 90%. He said he was only 90% at the time from the VA, which was barely $1,800 in 2016. So that income didn't justify that home purchase.
Got you. Okay, so right, I don't know much.
But then that goes back to you were aware of your finances. That
Exactly.
goes back to you were paying attention.
You made a smart decision.
Like, oh, this is a good investment. You got to do it.
You don't know your finances.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She didn't know your finances like you do. That was a smart decision because you don't want to be hurt out here struggling. Mm-hmm.
No, facts.
Mm-hmm. I tell people.
Bro, shout out to Anthony. He's so supportive because he be just going from app to app to app.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's on Instagram now. He just go from app to
I
app.
love it. I love it. I love it. And he coming with the facts too, with good info.
So where can we pre-order this book?
So to pre-order the book, I don't think I can put. Okay, well, I've been seeing his thing. I don't think I can comment.
Put it in the comments and I'm gonna copy it and make it a.
I'll put it in the private chat. There you go.
Oh, okay, and then I'll copy it and make it a banner.
Okay. I like your thing. I was searching on the other day to try to find.
Girls, let me tell y'all, and then somebody else asked me about my setup too.
Because it's nice. I need to get it.
Thank you, girl. So I got this template from Etsy and then I tweaked it a little bit. It was like $5. So for those of you who want to be streaming, you can go on Etsy and just search streaming overlays. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the
streaming.
And then like $5, $10. Sometimes you can get a pack of them, and like you get like a bunch of different choices, and you can mix and match the pieces in Canva. You download it with a transparent background, and then you just upload it in the StreamYard.
Gotcha.
Like this one when I want to have a guest or when I'm changing my screen, but then I got the one with the sticky notes, and then usually my camera is in the middle. So, but yeah, but that's the one I usually use when it's just me by myself. And then like you have to have this up in the corner.
Two of them. I like the little money plug in the corner too. Okay, yeah. I see you.
I be trying to do my thing,
No, sis. You don't be trying. You be doing.
Oh, period. So this is the link, and for everybody who would like to he said the live is skipping for me. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is the link to purchase or to pre-order her book, y'all. Please show some support. Somebody said, would you suggest getting a handle on your finances / budget before saving? Like really see where money is going? Yes.
I say no.
It depends.
I can tell you why I say no.
I feel like $1 here and $1 there, that's still saving. So even if you don't have a handle on your finances, you can still be putting money.
Me too, Anthony. Me too. Next week, me too. Bet we will meet up with our new overlays.
All right, now y'all shouldn't have said that because now I'm gonna hold y'all to it. So I'm so glad. I cannot wait to put y'all in the hot seat next week. Thank you. Thank you.
So the reason why I say both, like she said, you don't want an unexpected expense to come and set back all of your progress. So let's just say like life happens regardless. And I see this all the times with my students. They get very discouraged when they're working to save and they're budgeting, and then they have all these maybe their car messes up or whatever happens, that you already have those unexpected things happening in life. So if you're only paying down debt and budgeting and you're not saving any money, if you have any expense that's unexpected, what you're going to do? You're going to charge back on that same credit card that you just paid down. You're going to basically go create more debt or put yourself in a predicament where you're going to have to take it from your paycheck. So you want to have some savings so that you can kind of still not set yourself 100% back. Like she said, even if you're saving $1 here, $1 there, what I normally recommend is when you create your budget, whatever money you have left, you can create a percentage for it. So say I have $200 left. I can send 20% over here, 50% to my debt repayment, 30%. You know what I'm saying? So you can choose certain percentages and then send some to savings, send some to debt repayment. But I highly recommend doing them both because you don't want an unexpected expense to come and knock all your, flip, like when you play spades, just flip all this shit over. Like you don't want that to happen because of an unexpected expense.
I like what you said earlier about making yourself one of your bills, right? Like how we rob Peter to pay Paul. So why not?
We do it all the time. So rob Peter to pay yourself. Because if you don't pay Paul, they're going to send you a notice. They're going to call your phone. They're going to email you. They're going to show up about their money. So who's there showing up for you? You got to show up for yourself because you can't expect them to. And yes, Anthony, that was absolutely on purpose because we need to have more books about wealth with us on the front.
Let me tell you, y'all know I'm doing a presentation for, I'm doing my first international financial education workshop.
Again.
So excited.
I say you doing.
All of the people in my thing is Black. All of the people, the little figurines. If I got a video, they Black. Everybody is Black. Like the
yes, if you go to my website, you won't see anybody on my website that's not Black. I want us to see us and know that wealth is possible for us. And a lot of times some people like feel negatively about wealth and they, because they say like, oh, well, you're doing this, you playing the game, but it's like, you can't really help anybody without money. So whatever your goal is that you want to reach, you still have to get your finances together, which will give you the opportunity to do the things you want to do and help who you want to help. But essentially, we want to see us and I want us to get comfortable with us being related to wealth or being discussed with wealth and being discussed with money. I want that to be normal. You know what I'm saying? So I love that you did that. And that's the same thing I do. You won't see nobody else. Mm-mm.
And I think that's another reason too, that I have been so raw, especially for my TikTok content. Like y'all know, if you've been following me for a while, it's not going to see me in my bonnet.
So I have to tell you when you finish, I talked to Rakim, I got my intro, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, wait. So like, you'll see me in my bonnet. You'll see me at the grocery store, laying in a bed with my clay, because I love to show people that I'm just a regular person.
Yeah.
I do regular people shit. And it's time that we start showing people that regular people can accomplish some amazing things too.
Amazing.
You don't have to be a fucking millionaire. You don't have to have a Lamborghini and a giant mansion and all this other shit to be considered successful. I live in military housing because my utilities are still included in my rent. I drive a Honda Odyssey. My kids go to public school. Like I'm a regular person, but I am so successful. Financially, I'm set. Like you get what I'm saying? Like we need to see more of us in these situations and not just struggling and not just rappers and ball players and video vixens and shit like that. Like we need to see more of us doing other things so that we don't feel guilty or we don't feel out of place or uncomfortable when we are trying to break those ceilings and stuff like that.
I completely agree. Same thing. I drive a Hyundai. Like I'm not flashy. You see, I have earrings. Like I could care less. Not that I don't care about my appearance, but it's like I'm not into the flashy things or things like that because that's just not me. It's up to you. You get whichever one you want to get.
You got money.
But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay, wait. Okay,
be real.
Intro.
Oh, okay. So my intro is.
Wait, cover the camera up and then come back.
Do what?
Cover your camera up, right? Like,
oh, okay.
Action.
Hi, my name is Nia. I provide down-to-earth money and home buying tips for women seeking financial stability. We're getting there.
I can't wait.
I text him. I sent him a message back on his side on WhatsApp. Like, look.
I'm telling you, everybody finna have one. So Anthony, you better be working on yours.
So we need an overlay and an intro. Stat.
Yep. Period. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. So same thing. I wanted to include that down to earth, like, because my advice that I give my students is realistic. I tell them, get your Uber Eats. Not every day though. You know, if you can't go from 0 to 100, you can't go from it's impossible and it's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? So I like to give realistic things that like to really help you get through where you're not beating yourself up because you order tacos, you know?
No, for real. Literally,
seriously, because it'll get down to that.
Mm-hmm. Literally my life. All right, so you want to tell everybody now?
He said my intro is done by someone else. I just need to add
for your TikTok videos and for your reels and stuff like that. You need an intro.
That's my intro now.
Yeah, like
him because I got it now.
No, for real, because that shit was so funny on that Twitter space. Yes,
no, when you did that was
because I was expecting him to do it. Because like,
but listen, how about I said it with you when you start saying it because I knew it by heart too, and I even did the. So listen,
the hand, yes, the hand.
But listen, when I posted the cover of my book on Facebook, Rakim commented, it was like, "Oh, I love with the black hands." I said, "Yeah, for people that look like me."
For those of y'all who don't know, every Monday night on Twitter, we do a Twitter space with Rakim Sabri, who is a freelance writer. He's an author. He wrote Financially Irresponsible, which is on my Amazon book list. Y'all should definitely check it out. It's amazing. He also gave a TEDx talk, and he talks about financial trauma. And so he said that he was inspired by my intro to create an intro. But it was like, and I've been challenging them a lot to make more content. And I swear every other video is fucking Rakim on my FY.
Oh my God. Yes.
All you hear is his intro. I'm Rakim. So first of all, he hold the phone like Al Sharpton. Don't stress me out, Rakim, but you hold the phone like Al Sharpton. So he be like this in the video. Hey, I'm Rakim Sabri, and I teach financial trauma and financial responsibility for people who look like me. But it's so catchy because then check this out. It's so catchy and it stays with you because today, last night on Twitter, somebody posted, "Hey, I'm doing a piece on financial trauma. Who should I talk to?" And instantly somebody was like, Rakim Sabri teaches about financial trauma for people who look like me.
So that's exactly what made me say, I need an intro. So what I used to say is, I'm your favorite personal finance educator. That's what I used to just say. But that's it. Like, that's it. That's all. I didn't say nothing else. So now I have a full intro. But it's because of him. But it's true. It declares who you are. It's Brandon. It's Brandon that is better.
Brandon, period. But this was okay. So do you want to tell everybody?
Oh yes. Let's tell them.
So for months, y'all have been bugging me, right? Because I did a podcast and I was like, I don't like it because I hate talking to myself. Like I be feeling crazy, low-key having entire conversations in here with myself. And I have been stressing because I'm like, who can I get to do a podcast with? Like nobody gonna want to spend their time with me. Like what the hell? And then I go to FinCon. And I've known Nia for a while. Like we are like, we're
right. Like same thing. TikTok. I've been following her on TikTok for the longest. I can't even remember when, to be honest.
And we met, and I think it was after. Oh my God, I think it was after
him.
He did a financial trauma panel.
Oh, he said he would spend time with you.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. Oh, he gotta be a guest. Oh, damn it, I didn't give it away. Anyway. So like we were talking after Rakim's panel and like the ideas we were talking about and like the it was just flowing and she was like, you know what? We should do a podcast. Yeah. And I was like it was definitely like, the universe was like,
right, because we both had the same idea that we wanted to do it, but we didn't want to do it by ourselves.
Period. Like I couldn't do another season by myself. Y'all couldn't do it. So I would love to tell you guys that we are doing a podcast together. It's going to be called Plug into Different Perspectives because I'm the money plug and she's Nia's perspective. And hold on, let me take this down so that they can see your social media handle. Hold on, let me take this down.
Oh, it's my Instagram.
And so we are doing a podcast. So the YouTube channel is up. Technically, you can subscribe to it already. There's nothing on it yet. We don't have any episodes out yet, and we're still planning everything out. But y'all, I'm so excited. I can't wait to get back
December.
But oh man, like we have the things that we're gonna be talking about, like the topics that we have, like I cannot wait for y'all to get everything and to
Yes, so
hear
it
it.
comes out in December.
We're
So we
gonna
want
do
to have
a full launch. We're gonna do a full
yes.
launch. We're gonna, be on other people's podcasts, telling them about the podcast. So y'all, this is not the only time you're gonna hear about it. I promise y'all gonna hear more about it as the details get built out. But I thought this would have been like the perfect time to tell everybody, since we were kind of on here celebrating your book. So when is the book officially available?
So if you're in Chicago, I'm actually having a book signing on October 13th. So next week, I know next week.
I was so mad. I wanted to ask you so selfishly to push it back because it's the day before my anniversary. And I was like, I wanted to be there, but
you would have came to Chicago. I didn't know.
You know what? Me and my little van be everywhere. I drove all the way to Orlando for FinCon. Hell, I drive to Chicago.
Facts. And we're going to be in New Orleans next year.
Yes. I cannot wait.
It now. Oh, thank you, Anthony. Thank you.
So if you guys are interested in purchasing her ebook, her social media handle, this is her Instagram handle, is up on the screen. You can go to her Instagram, follow her. That's the most important thing, right?
If you want to go to the book signing, just send me a DM or something, and I'll send you the link to sign up. If you're in Chicago, it's October 13th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for you. And
I am too. Like, I'm so excited about this book. Seriously, I'm so excited about it. I was talking to this guy because of course now I'm in a sea full of real estate people. And I was talking to this guy from a title company. He was like, I don't know, but I want to buy the book just talking to you. I'm like, yeah, because you can tell I'm super excited about it. Because I just feel like to be able to have a resource like that, to really like give you steps, like this is what you should do. I just think it's awesome. So
I'm so excited for you. And I can't wait to start when you start getting those first testimonials, like I read the book.
Exactly.
And I bought my house. Like, oh, I can't wait for you to finally get that.
I got to send him a message. It's on pre-order. So
it's pre-order. It's not out yet, but you can pre-order it.
Correct. It's pre-order.
And so is it going to be available before or after the book signing online?
So the people who purchased it before, they'll get it before. So probably like this weekend, I'll upload the he's the I'll log on.
Oh my God.
So probably this weekend, the people who pre-order it, I'll be shipping out and doing that. But at the book signing, of course, I'll be signing the copies.
Oh, like I said, again, congratulations.
Thank you
for you. I know like you are the perfect person for this. I'm excited for the podcast. Like I cannot wait.
I'm super excited about the podcast. So we're gonna have to have Anthony on. We already created the form. We listed this. I put the topics that we talked about on there already. So
definitely all of our little homies, all our little personal finance homies.
Our new financial family.
Best believe y'all getting that little form to fill out to be
right. So get ready. me. Get ready.
Thank you so much, Nia, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Like it fit perfect for what I wanted to talk about. We were talking about home buying. What are some things that I typically see as a credit repair specialist that kind of hold people?
I know you see a lot.
Get a girl. But it's always the same stuff over and over. Late payments.
That's also why I feel like we are the bomb team, because you do credit, I do money. It's like them two together, nobody can stop you. I don't care if you want to be a real estate mogul, a business mogul, whatever you want to do. If you don't have this financial foundation together, you're going to have problems. And you see that from the famous people who started from the top. Now they... So I feel like that's just a dope combo. Plug into different perspectives.
I'm so excited. I just can't wait.
I could probably go get the link.
Well, actually, drop it in the chat for me.
Yeah, I sure will, because I subscribed to it. It took me a while to figure it out, but I got it.
And again, this is the link to pre-order her book, y'all. Please get her book. Support. Even if you're just rooting for everybody Black. Support. I highly recommend her. And y'all know it is very rare that I put my stamp on people. Y'all know I don't play that shit. But Nia not only is very knowledgeable, but she's so supportive. I love how transparent she is about her own journey.
Yeah.
I always feel like some of the best teachers went through some shit. They went through the
Yeah.
experience. Experience is the best teacher. And so learn from our mistakes, learn from the things that we've been through and that we're willing to share with you all. But I'm gonna let you get out of here, girl, because I didn't had you on here running your mouth for so long. And my husband definitely messaged me like, girl, I'm hungry. What is we eating?
So yeah, I sent you the link to the channel so you can. I don't know.
Okay, let me throw that in the chat. Yeah, I can throw that in the chat.
Okay, good. So then Anthony can get it. But okay, thank you for having me. Have a great one. I'm gonna find something to eat myself because I'm hungry.
For real.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, y'all. Remember. If you guys have any questions, let me put it up one more time.
Oh yeah, if you have questions, yeah, just come message me or. I'm typically on social
email
media.
address. If somebody's like, oh, I'm not really on social media like that, what's your email address? She is putting it in the chat. And remember, if you guys came late, I've been live for almost 2 hours now. So if you came late, if you missed a lot of it, you can definitely go to my YouTube channel at WWTMPD. What would the money plug do? And you can watch the entire thing. Literally, as soon as we sign off, you'll be able to see everything, including the chat. He said, I'm already subscribed.
That's what I'm talking about. Appreciate it. We appreciate you.
And then I'm also putting her email address in the chat. There we go.
Oh, yes. They could just send me an email.
There we go. Marquis, I'm going to text you when I'm start being scared of having accountability. I'm here whenever you need me. I'm here whenever you need me.
Walk into the light. Don't be scared.
No, for real.
All right. You have a good night. Bye, everybody.
Thank y'all so much. And make sure y'all go follow her. Go follow her.
Yes, come follow me. It's fun over here.
Oh, wait, your Facebook group. What's the name of your Facebook group right quick?
Oh, so it's the Gold Diggers Community. Diggers with a Z. The Gold Diggers Community. Hold on.
She has a Facebook, y'all. So make sure y'all check her Facebook out. I'm gonna also put that in the Facebook and the YouTube comments.
And my group, honestly, like when I bought my property in during the pandemic, I walked my group through it. So if they go into the group and then click on my real estate investing journey, they literally can find every single post. I'm talking about when I did a repair amendment, which is basically requesting them to make repairs. I put all of that in there. This is what I requested. This is what their response was. So people really could get an idea of the home buying process and what it looked like. So if you do decide to go in there, you could definitely click on that and you'll be able to read through it. It's tons of information.
It's gold, GOAL, Gold Diggers with a Z community.
Yes, gold. Like we going at the goals, not GOLD.
Nah, for real. But good night, everybody. Y'all know what I always say. Live every day like it's last, but pay your bills and wear condoms just in case it's not. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. I'm gonna be live again tomorrow. And yeah, that's it. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go for real this time. You know how Black people buy a bunch before we hang up.
I sure will.